Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Danny's Weekend Sports Wrap at the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast, right here at DannyClinkscale.com for this weekend. Hold your nose, cover your eyes, get a tissue. I don't know. Boy, it was a weekend of a lot of not so good in the Kansas City area sports scene. The NFL draft was held. That was okay for the Chiefs, but okay. And of course, most of the news was made on the negative side with, as the continuing drip, 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 wait on Tyreek Hill continues. Sporting Kansas City has a less than satisfying result at Children's Mercy Park on Saturday night and continues to give up goals and buckets, and the Kansas City Royals, while providing some points of light, still can't win many points as far as games are concerned as well, as they continue to lose their fourth straight series. So a lot of not so good, as I said, but we'll try to put a good face on it coming up next.
Before you spend your time and money going after an MBA, ask yourself why. Is it so you can tell people you got your MBA? So you can add a line to your CV? So you can call it a CV instead of a resume? Truth is, any MBA will do that. On the other hand, if your goal is to learn how to successfully manage and grow a business with real-world insights from experienced professionals, well, consider getting your MBA from Park University. Our low student-to-teacher ratio gives you personalized attention, and our face-to-face and online classes offered in 8-week terms are designed with working professionals like you in mind. No wonder the Kansas City Business Journal ranks Park University as the top MBA program in the area. Classes begin June 10th at all 4 KC area locations: Parkville, Downtown, Independence, and Lenexa. Visit park.edu to get started.
Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for Reasonably Irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews, and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code Clinkscale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape. Get a refreshing change of your expectations of a sports bar and restaurant at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Matt Llewellyn's welcoming spot at Clinton Parkway in Cassold covers all the bases, like their own handcrafted beers and all the televisions you need for great sports viewing, but it's the large, varied, and delicious menu that stands apart. From a favorite of mine like the awesome ahi tuna appetizer to great sandwiches, outstanding pizza, and truly fantastic entrees, the 23rd Street Brewery has it all. Matt and his friendly staff make it that much more enjoyable. Food until 10, fun until late. The 23rd Street Brewery is a can't-miss stop when you are in Lawrence. Welcome back. The Chiefs' NFL draft weekend was a quiet one in Nashville, Tennessee, and pretty much a noisy one everywhere else, and the kind of noise that you don't want. The Chiefs spread their picks around general needs, and in the case of the top pick, Mecole Hardman, seemingly a specific one and a like-for-like, if you want to use a soccer term, to ostensibly replace Tyreek Hill, who technically is still on the team, although he is considered not a member of the team right now, but he's not suspended either, so continues to be in limbo. Many reports coming out today, including ESPN's Dan Graziano, that by the end of the week he will be on the commissioner's exempt list. Where that puts the Chiefs and how they handle it, or if they let the league handle it, which to me would be not the right thing to do, remains to be seen. I think one of the most hysterical things in the entire world of the National Football League is that football people sit at podiums or sit in front of microphones and say things that are just on the face preposterous and expect people to just swallow them whole. And Andy Reid, who certainly is somebody who's a off-time offender for this, did it regarding the first pick, one Mecole Hardman, asked if the choice of Hardman, who is a smallish, extra speedy wide receiver and return man is a big part of the equation, seeing as most people think that Riley Ridley, his teammate at Georgia, who was still available when the Chiefs pick, is a better receiver. They go out and pick him because ostensibly they're not going to have Tyreek Hill. It's, as I said, in the open, an almost like-for-like comparison. But Andy Reid, when asked about it, said, oh, no, there was no connection. No connection. It had nothing to do with what's going on with Tyreek Hill. It's just funny that people can actually sit there and do that and expect people to swallow it whole. And I guess part of the reason is that there's always a certain part of the fan base that does swallow it whole. They say, yeah, oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, that was just a football decision. It didn't have anything to do with Tyreek Hill. Well, yes, it was a football decision, but it was a football decision in that we're not going to have Tyreek Hill. We need somebody as close to as we can find to Tyreek Hill, and you're not going to find that, but let's go get the Walmart version anyway, and that's what they did. By checking all of the various sites, from the Kansas City Star's assessment to all the national ones, it would seem that it was an okay weekend for the Chiefs. They pretty much spread their picks around. They picked a defensive lineman. They picked a safety. They picked a corner. They did the things that you needed to do. They picked a wide receiver. They, of course, lost a pick in getting Frank Clark from the Seattle Seahawks. That gave up their first pick, and seemingly not having a first pick is becoming the de rigueur for Brett Veach as far as his drafting strategy is concerned. So solid picks across the board. Most people said average or B minus or something like that. So the Chiefs neither were listed in one of those things where they said the biggest winners and losers of the NFL draft. Well, they were never listed in the biggest winners, and I didn't see them listed in the biggest losers either. So it kind of fit in the mode for the weekend and the fact that the Chiefs are going to make all their news away from the field. So let's make the news that's actually football related kind of quiet. It would have been better if they made a splash because that would have taken the onus off a lot of the things that are going on, but it did not happen. The Chiefs with seemingly a solid draft to try and improve their football team from 2018. The weekend, of course, more centered on Tyreek Hill, and the only curious thing right now is the dragging of feet. Now, by the time you hear this, the Chiefs may well have done something with Tyreek Hill, although more and more it seems like they are going to wait it out and wait and see what the commissioner's office does. If they allow the commissioner and the National Football League to handle this and keep Tyreek Hill ostensibly a Kansas City Chief, I think it's a dreadful mistake. And why it is going this way, I can't quite understand. Obviously, there's legalities involved, but that didn't matter. There were no charges involved with Kareem Hunt, and they cut him pronto. And now, seemingly, they're taking their time. They're assessing things. And how you can assess things after that audio came out, it's been from Thursday now. And here we sit on Monday. The draft is over. I just don't get it. And I think that the fans finally, if they were waiting for the fans, if they're testing the waters, a lot of times in politics, in football, in anything, people will float things out or they'll just let things simmer to see what the reaction of their fan base, who they are pitching their product to, is. Well, I think now we've gone from a situation where many, many fans were trying to find a way, weave a way that Tyreek Hill can stay on this football team. From the time that they took his child away from he and his fiance, to me, that was the time. Then the DA comes out. Further step. That apparently wasn't not enough for many fans because what they saw was the fact that no charges were pressed. But the district attorney took a step that was unprecedented to me, although obviously a press conference is not held for every single criminal case, to say there was a crime here committed. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. And that apparently wasn't enough for many. But then the audio comes out, and it's just horrific, absolutely horrific. And I don't know if there's more than a handful of absolute, well, I'll say meatheads who only think about football, only think about the fact that a spectacular football player is going to be lost. And the biggest talking point now from many fans is the disappointment they will feel if Tyreek Hill plays for another National Football League team. Well, has nothing to do with the Kansas City Chiefs. are the Kansas City Chiefs going to make a decision based on what's right? If somebody else wants to do the wrong thing 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, 6 months down the road, who cares? Is that going to be disappointing? Will it be disappointing to me if Tyreek Hill gets to ply his trade anywhere in the near future? Yes, it would. I don't know what you have to do now in the National Football League to not be able to play. People talk about second chances. This would be a third chance. This would also be a third chance in a profession that is a privilege. There is no ingrained right to play National Football League football. Does Tyreek Hill have the right to make a living, go on with his life? Yes, indeed he does. It just doesn't have to be in the National Football League. Is that the thing he does best? Yes, it does. But time and again now, he has proved that it doesn't mean enough to him to do the things outside of football that are necessary to keep him inside the game of football. He's already made about $2 million in football. That would be a great starting point in life for many, many people. Does he have most of that 1.8, I believe, to be exact, money right now? I doubt he has a significant portion of it. I've said this on Friday when I was on with Seren Petro. The fact that we know that the audio that was gained by Channel 5 was apparently recorded on in a terminal in the Dubai airport would indicate to me that there's some lavish spending going on in Tyreek Hill's world. And that's too bad. I don't begrudge anybody taking a vacation, but do you have to pick Dubai? Not necessarily. It's a cool place. It's where many Europeans go to have their vacations. It's a beautiful area of the world, but it's also a tremendously expensive area of the world. So here we sit. Tyreek Hill is still a Kansas City Chief. Is he a Chief in good standing? No, he's not. We've heard from Brett Veach, then we heard from Andy Reid, and now we heard on Saturday from Clark Hunt. And finally, he said most of the right things, but the right thing to do, and perhaps it was because it was draft weekend, you're not supposed to make big news. The best thing he could have done right then, it was 2 days hence, 48 hours after that audio came out, was to stand there right then and cut him. But he didn't do it. The Chiefs apparently aren't going to do it here in the near term. And as I said, maybe by the time you hear this, Tyreek Hill will not be a Kansas City Chief. But to me, it's taking too long, much too long for this to play itself out. And I think that's got to change. And perhaps the Chiefs should have further incentive because, really, they have been given every opportunity to do the right thing, every heads up, and really have had pretty good fortune during this particular case. The one thing they have the most fortune about is Pat Mahomes. I'll get to that in a moment. But also, they've had each step of the way a heads up that they should do the right thing. First, it was the child being taken away. Second, it was the district attorney's appearance, as I talked about. And finally, it was the recording that was released last week. If none of these things had happened now, the Chiefs still would likely be going forward with Tyreek Hill, which we know now is a ticking time bomb. So they have had a situation where they have gotten, hey, heads up, you need to do the right thing. Hey, heads up, and then finally a hammer blow with the recording that points them in the right direction. All the enthusiasm that was created for the Chiefs has now had a wet blanket thrown over it, but Patrick Mahomes is the guy who can throw that blanket in the dryer. Obviously, the enthusiasm for this team is going to be great almost no matter what happens. If Frank Clark comes in and gets into trouble, that would be bad. All this would be bad. But still, from a franchise standpoint, they have the eyewash of having Pat Mahomes, his engaging personality, and otherworldly talent to sort of smooth things over in a situation that has been very, very rough. But the league still is in a position to do the right thing. The Chiefs are still in the position to do the right thing. And from the Chiefs' standpoint, they've been lucky in this situation so far. Sure, unlucky that Tyreek Hill went rogue in this situation when they thought they had a player who had reformed himself, but very lucky that all the warning signs have been there for them so clearly. Is it a personal tragedy that a career, not a life, is being wasted? A career is being wasted. Whether a life is being wasted by Tyreek Hill, that's up to him from this point forward. He may well have ruined his NFL career. His life now is in his hands otherwise. Although most people still do think that somehow, some way, sometime, he will play football in the National Football League. I would hope that that's not the case. I would hope that finally we've reached a situation where a precedent for the National Football League could be set, where if you have this kind of behavior, then you repeat it, and then you repeat it in an egregious fashion, breaking the arm of your young child, and then basically being a threatening monster to the